So, hi Owen, thanks for joining me. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to everyone, that'd be great.
Yeah, hi, I am Owen Thomas. I am a green woodworker, and I have been for about 10 years now.
Okay.
I've been professionally woodworking since I was 20-ish. So that's about 16 years now. I've been a woodworker, but not a green woodworker the whole time. I used to do. I trained as a joiner, like carpenter joiner. So I worked out on building sites and worked in like commercial joinery workshops. So I used to run a commercial joinery workshop until I binned all that off for the exciting rock and roll lifestyle of green woodworking.
Yeah, what was it about green woodworking that tore you away from the world of joinery?
Um, I think because it's so much more hands on than the work I was doing.
Yeah,
It's a lot less reliant on large, expensive machinery.
right.
Uh, um, so a lot of the time when I was doing the joinery stuff, I would be standing. I'd be like a week machining, like posting bits of wood through machines, and they would like doing all the work. Well, not all the work, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
But green woodworking, you you feel a lot more connected, or certainly I did. Um, so yeah. I mean, I started it as a hobby while I was still being a carpenter, um, and life happens. Things happen, and I started doing it more, more and more. And then I kind of realized at some point that I wanted to try and make it my job. Whether that was a good idea or a bad idea is still yet to be seen. I haven't got my spoon-shaped swimming pool yet, but
so when are you going to break the ground on that, do you think?
on the spoon-shaped swimming pool,
Yeah,
I need to afford a mortgage first.
right.
Not for a while.
I'm sure your landlord or landlady won't mind if you start digging.
Yeah, well, they probably wouldn't notice. Yeah, fingers crossed.
And then, so what was it that kind of got you starting it as a hobby? So you were doing commercial joinery. How did you find out about the world of green woodworking?
Um, I think initially, I mean, I'd seen it at I used to like to go to the country fairs and stuff like that, and so I'd seen like these funny little old men in their little shelters doing it the old-fashioned way, which was yeah, I've always I think appreciated making things, or being, people being able to make things. Um, so I was kind of aware of it, um, because of that. But I got bought a taster session by my grandparents.
Okay.
Because my granddad used to do marquetry. Do you know what marquetry is?
No, that'd be great if you could explain it.
Okay, so marquetry is making patterns using veneered wood.
Okay, yeah.
It could be anything from decorating a little box or a tray or something like that. So I've seen some of the people that he was friends with, that he used to be in his marquetry club. He used to do like pictures, sort of, what was the that one with the dogs playing poker,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
that painting. Someone did a marquetry version of that, so it was all
Oh,
in
cool.
veneer, like fine veneers and stuff. Yeah, he used to do that, and he used to go to shows to demonstrate marquetry. And there was a guy on the stand next to him who was doing green woodworking, so doing pole lathe turning, and he ran a little workshop down in Dorset, which is where my grandparents lived.
Okay.
And they thought I'd enjoy it because I like work, because I like woodwork. And what's a bit of a busman's holiday, but it was great. I took to it straight away, and so on that taster session, I started making the parts for a shave horse, because I knew I wanted to. I already felt that I wanted to do more. He helped me make parts for a shave horse, and I still have that shave horse.
Do you still use it?
Not as much as I used to, because I built another one out of Sean Hellman's book, which is a lot better. But it's it still works. There's nothing wrong with it. I just wanted a different one.
Cool.
So that's how I initially got my first experience of it, at least, was a bribe to come down and visit my grandparents, basically. But and then I went on from that. I saw Mike Abbott on the telly.
Yeah.
As many of us around my age who got into green woodworking probably did. And then I sought out Mike to go and do some chair making. And
how long was it between you taking those first few courses and then I think the first time I found out about you and your work was when you started an apprenticeship with Barn & Spoon. So how long had you been working in green woodwork before that began?
Probably 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Maybe. But this was it just as a hobby.
Yeah.
At that point, I mean, while I was at Barnes, I was still working as a joiner.
Okay.
So I was doing like half the week doing joinery work and half the week working with Barn. But so I did that first course, and then I did a course with Mike, and then I did a season of being Mike's assistant.
Oh, cool.
And then the year after that, I met Barn whilst I was at Mike's, and that was, I think, just before he moved to London, or just as he was starting to set up there. So it was quite when he first got the shop, it was one of the first things that happened, I think, was that I started going to work with him. So yeah, I think two or three ish years I'd been doing it before going to Barn. But most of that was doing chair making and spindle turning, pole lathe spindle turning. I was doing a few bowls at that point, but certainly when I was going and like demonstrating at shows and things like that, I was doing chair making.
Yeah, so like green woodworking has like all these different components to it. So from furniture to spoons to fancy wooden mugs.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I got it dusted off especially.
Is there a favorite thing? Oh, sorry, I missed that.
I was just going to say it wasn't dusty. I do use this all the time.
Yeah. Is there a favorite thing for you to make within green woodworking?
I really like the turning. I think probably the favorite thing I've made is probably the flasks.
Okay, yeah, those are tricky.
Just because hardly anyone does them. I think there was a point where people were like, "Oh, I don't know anybody who does that." I enjoy making them. I don't make loads of them.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy making them. I like the lidded boxes as well, the locking lid boxes, just because they're a bit more technical. Like I love turning bowls and cups and stuff like that. Is great, but it's, without meaning to sound a bit up myself, like it's not super challenging now.
Yeah.
To do it, so I like to be challenged. It keeps me interested. If I'm just doing the same thing all the time, I lose focus, and I know that about myself. So that's why I work in the way that I do. So I don't try and keep everything on my website in stock. I work month to month. So I should, or I feel like making some of these, but I'll work in I'll do batch work, but I'll do a small batch rather than I'm going to make 30 of these. I need to make 30 of these, or I mean, even when I first started the website, I tried to keep everything in stock, which I found was a mistake, because then you're not making enough to be efficient.
Yeah.
So you're jumping. Oh God! I need a couple of spoons. I need one of these to get it going, and that's not efficient. So I found like batches of 10s seem to work for me. So I can do a decent mix of stuff over a month and not do that. Not keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. And so if turning something that you really enjoy, then you've recently, or relatively recently, hopped onto the Japanese style electric lathe.
Sold out, yeah.
What was it? What's the name of it?
No, it's Japanese lathe. I just said sold out. Yes.
Oh, sold out. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So how's that transition been, going from the pole lathe to the electric lathe?
It has been interesting.
Okay.
It's a weird mix of really straightforward, because it's similar tools, and completely not straightforward at all. Because it would seem like, because you're using the same tools, it's going to be the same thing, but it's not, because there's a lot of different things that happen when you're turning with hooks, with regards to stuff, like angles, your sitting angle, the cutting angle. I've learned that it's actually, there's a lot to do with the pole lathe turning, is actually that reciprocal motion, the backwards and forwards. And with the Japanese style lathe, it's a continuous motion, so it has a different effect on the tool than something that's just going forward and backwards. And as you know, when you're pole lathe turning, we call it pulsing, but like sort of gradually cutting in. With each push down of your leg, you sort of push in a little bit with the tool, but that's not the same as what you would do on a continual movement lathe. I wouldn't have progressed as well with the Japanese style turning if I hadn't have spent all that time pole lathe turning. But it's not necessarily, I can do a bit of pole lathe turning and I'm going to be amazing on the Japanese lathe. It's not quite as straightforward a move as you may think, but certainly for me, it's opened up a lot of potential, purely for the reason that I can turn more stuff without getting knackered. I was very productive on the pole lathe, but I was at my peak, or I felt like I was at my peak, and that there wasn't any extra I could give it.
Yeah.
And when you're doing something as a job, volume of what you can produce is a factor, because you need to earn a particular amount of money. I need to pay my rent. I'd like to buy a house.
Yeah, have a spoon-shaped swimming pool.
And at the end of the day, you need when you're doing something for a job, you need to think about these factors. So when I saw Jared start to look into it, I started looking into it as well, just because it struck me as a way of working with a power assisted tool, but maintaining the same kind of ideas and aesthetic as pole lathe turning.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a nice, for me at least, I think it's a nice middle ground. I still pole lathe turn, and I still teach pole lathe turning for a lot of the producing of the stuff that I sell now. I use the Japanese lathe, especially the cut. Like they're made for end grain turning. It's a very similar techniques, but because you haven't got the two centers, you just have that whole opening of the cut to work in. You can go a lot quicker. I've never been that into modern wood turning, so I think that was partly why I gravitated towards pole lathe for turning rather than a conventional, like Western style electric lathe. To be perfectly honest, I've seen very, very few examples of modern powered turning that attracted me in a way that, like Rob Wood's bowls, or even the bowls from Rob Wood's book, attract me. I don't know where this big leap in style happened, but I'm not super. I don't look at modern wood turning as an inspiration generally. There's a few, there's a few really amazing turners that I like follow on Instagram that do make really cool stuff, but they're quite few and far between.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Sorry, Howard Wood turners of the world.
Well, I mean, you're kind of back in those ranks then with your Japanese style lathe power turning, but with that, you're right. Like with the Western style, like there's a certain aesthetic. I know, like over here at the craft fairs that I've been to, if there've been other like turners, it's a lot of very shiny wood, and
Yeah,
wood isn't naturally like a shiny material, and like to buff it up and then to put like what's usually like a petrochemical based finish on it, yeah, seems kind of weird for me. But
well, that's the thing. I mean, if I'm a member of a few wood turning groups on the internet, and I think a lot of it's driven by technology.
Yeah.
And wanting to follow the new technology, and
right.
I've got this amazing laser engraver for doing my name on the bottom of the bowl. I've got this this vacuum pop for epoxy. I've got this lathe. I've got this fancy chuck.
The new H2000X Powermatic. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I really want one of those.
Yeah.
And that's not to knock it, I'm not trying to invalidate anything in the slightest, but
I am.
Okay,
I'm a
fair
terrible
enough.
person, so
That's fine. We need more controversy in green woodworking. To be honest, I think it's getting very boring. We need some Twitter beef.
Yeah.
Do you want to manufacture a YouTube beef, Tom, later?
I'd love to. Yeah. I've been trying to start beef with a lot of green woodworkers, but they're all far too nice.
I know it's you've just been picking the wrong ones.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Probably. Yeah.
What was I saying? What were we talking about? Oh yeah, wood turning. Yeah, I think I think part of it's the how the technology driving it and people wanting to chase new technology. But I also think it's where people start from. So like my influences obviously started from medieval bowl, medieval and Swedish woodwork.
Yeah.
So that's where I started, and the same for my spoon carving. That's what I started looking at, particular sorts of spoons that were old spoons. Whereas I think certainly a lot of people who are getting into any sort of woodworking now are looking at what's current.
Yeah.
So you can see that on the spoon carving boards that people aren't necessarily looking at the old stuff. They're looking at what's being made now and doing stuff similar to that, rather than going back and taking influence from where the people that they're looking at now took influence from.
Yeah.
I think that's quite an important thing for people to do if they're looking to progress, is to look at your favorite spoon carver or bowl turner or whoever, and then try and work out where they've been inspired from, because you're jumping like a big step in the process by being inspired by me or being inspired by yourself, because we've been inspired by other stuff, and it is valuable for everybody to know or to be able to look back and see where inspiration comes from, because you might whoever's looking at it might take an inspiration from something that I have, but in a completely different way, and then that would be, we'd be traveling on a similar path but creating new possibilities, rather than everybody just going down the same thing.
I think it would be good to like share what some of my inspirations were when I first started out, and kind of like show those to people, and then see what other people do with it, because like you said, they're going to take it and go different routes with it rather than skipping over it.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons I started sharing templates with people.
Okay. Yeah.
Because templates are a very simple thing, and for me they're very helpful for my work, because they give me a set starting point, because I know what I want to make. But I think it's interesting to see if people start at the same point as I do but come up with something completely different. Well, not an exact a template doesn't mean you're making an exact copy.
Right. Yeah. It's incredibly difficult to make an exact copy of someone else's work.
Yeah.
Its own challenge, which is worth doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a really good learning exercise, but not a good professional exercise.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really it's a really good learning tool. Trying to exactly copy somebody's spoon.
You have a bit of a fashion range out there at the moment that quite a few people have been subscribing to. So you got your Spoons Not Bombs, your Sloyd Against Racism, and a few other different designs that all have like quite a strong social justice kind of message behind them. So how do you think, how are spoons good for you? Why do you think Sloyd is a good kind of medium to try and make the world a better place, essentially?
Because making anything is good for people.
Yeah.
If you think about just anybody who's got some sort of hobby, their hobby is never generally, I'm sure there might be some people out there that do paperwork as a hobby, but it's people get enjoyment through making stuff. And it can give a person a bit of purpose, a bit of self-worth. It doesn't matter if you're good at it. It's just you're just creating something. Same with art, painting. You don't have to be a good painter. You can just enjoy the process. And I think that encouraging people to do things that are enjoyable is very good for that kind of social progress. I mean, I work 3 days a week working with guys with mental health conditions and learning difficulties, and I teach them green woodworking. And so these are guys who are, they're adults, so it's not kids I'm working with. So they've been in the system, the sort of the social care system for years, some of them decades. And historically speaking, that it would be having a learning difficulty or a serious mental health problem would kind of indicate that you weren't capable of doing certain things.
Yeah.
But every single person that's come into my workshop has made a stool or a chair or a table, and it's something that they can take home, they can use, and it just takes a bit of patience, but they've all done it and they've all felt good about it.
Yeah.
And I think particularly with Sloyd as a general term, being good for it, being good for your mental health, being good as a social thing, is because you end up with a product at the end of it. You end up with a lasting reminder of you having done that. So you can still, every time you sit on your chair that you made, you can feel good about that. Every time you stir your tea with your spoon, you can feel good about it because you've made it. And I think it's like it's not just a finite action, which some things are like a finite thing, like you do it and it's done and that's finished.
Yeah.
But craft making, you're making something which is then going to last and be used theoretically. So I think that's like a little extra sort of cherry on top of the process.
Yeah, I like that idea of like a durable reminder of like one's capability, that at least I could make this thing and it's still here and it's still working. Right, so I've done this with a couple of folks already, and so we're now going to play a little game of true or false.
Tree or false?
Yes. So nice. You have to figure out, is this a tree, or in your case, is this a Wisconsin river?
Oh, right. Okay.
All right. So the first one would be Pokegama.
Pokegama. False.
False. So you think it's a river?
I think it's a river.
Yes, it's a tributary of the St. Louis River.
Yes.
Ooh,
do I say false or do I say river?
Fremont.
That's a river.
That's a kind of cottonwood, apparently.
No, it's definitely a river.
According to the Sibley Guide to Trees.
Oh wow, the Sibley Guide, obviously. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. To be fair to Owen, we are going with US trees, of which there are several hundred, and in the UK we have what, like 30 native trees?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And you call trees different things.
Yes.
And Americans can't spell.
yeah. They drop the U from everything. Okay, number 3 then. Menominee.
Tree.
Oh no, it's a 116-mile long river between Michigan and Wisconsin.
See, I mean, again, we've only got like 7 rivers here, so
it'd be super easy. It's okay. The last time I did this with someone, it was trees or London Underground stations. So
I've done that.
Yeah, you did all right there. Kousa,
Maybe.
Kousa, Kousa.
Kousa. Tree.
Yeah, it's kind of dogwood.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I knew that.
Yeah. Cat claw.
Cat claw definitely sounds like a tree.
Yeah, it's kind of acacia.
There we go.
Bodark.
River.
It's another name apparently for Osage orange or Osage orange.
I mean, what?
What about?
What's wrong with the original name?
Yeah. Pecatonica.
I mean, that sounds like a river.
Yeah, it's an anglicization of the Algonquin words Becca, meaning slow, and Neba, meaning water.
Oh, fast flowing, is it?
Shadblow.
Tree,
yeah, is another name for smooth serviceberry.
Who knew?
TT.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, you heard me. TT.
River.
Oh, it's another word for another name for sourwood, apparently.
Right. I don't even know what sourwood is, so
no.
Didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. I haven't heard of half of these either. It's good fun looking through them, though.
Yeah.
Mississippi.
Well, that's a river, surely.
River, yeah. Bonus point if you can spell Mississippi.
Missippi.
Oh, you missed out a few S's there, unfortunately.
Well, whatever. Never gonna have to spell it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got more right than you got wrong. 6 out of 10. Fantastic.
So am I in the lead?
I'd have to check.
There should be a leaderboard, Tom.
Yeah. There we go. We'll put one up, maybe.
Yeah. I not that I'm competitive or anything, but
no, I'm not competitive. But am I winning?
Yeah. I'd like to win. You know.
Yeah. There might be a prize. Probably won't be. Yeah.
But that's fine. It's bragging rights.
Yeah. There we go. Excellent. And so, if people want to follow your work or find more out about what you do, maybe try and snag a flask when they become available, what's the best place for them to find you?
So they can find me on Instagram at Owen Thomas Woodcraft, same on Facebook, and the same on YouTube, where I have an amount of videos, tutorials, things like that. I will be doing more. I've been a bit lax over the last half year because everything's gone mental. So it's been a bit difficult to motivate to do more. But so yeah, Owen Thomas Woodcraft, pretty much anywhere that things happen social media wise, I'm probably on it. I'm not on TikTok yet.
No, yet.
But there's still time.
Yeah. Are we going to see you doing some dances then?
I might do. I want to try and find it. I might try and find a way to do my headbanging axe work videos, because they might be, well, you know, all publicity is good publicity.
If you haven't seen Owen's headbanging axe videos, they're worth a watch.
Definitely. There's 2. There's more coming. I filmed a few more, but I haven't posted them yet.
Okay, so by the time this comes out there might be even more. So excellent. Brilliant.
There might be more. There might be more. I'm kind of aiming for one a week. Just I don't want to just be that guy, but at the same time, they're quite fun.
Yeah,
it's quite good fun to do. And I made that mask ages ago for a different idea that I never followed through on, and it took me ages. To make it, and I was like, oh, I better find something to use it for. And it seemed like the perfect thing. So there we go.
Yeah. I mean, me axing along to Taylor Swift was one of my most popular Instagram videos for a while there. So,
oh, why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Owen. This was a really great chat. I'll make sure everything's linked down in the description below.
Yeah, cool,
and hopefully everyone can find your stuff and check it out. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. I'd love to see you all
Awesome.
on my social media. That'd be great.